So, how is everyone? I don't want to expect an answer. Is the light good for you, or do you want it brighter or darker? It's good. What's that? I gotta speak louder. It sucks. I want to say, you gotta listen harder. It's okay, don't worry. He didn't hear. The other day I was doing this. I had this class with students in English, and I was doing a sort of session on emotional intelligence. And I asked them, so if you were to take a week in your life and identify the emotion you feel or experience most often, what emotion would that be? You know, what feeling would that be? Just take a week, 7 days, okay? I mean, it's not impossible. It's really hard, I mean, because maybe you had a bad day, or maybe you had a great day, but say over a week, you know, don't just do today. And if they had a really bad week, let's say a month, I don't know. That's kind of hard, a month, but a week. And you know, most people were not able to actually give an answer, or maybe just didn't want to. That's fine too. But the few people who did, there was a consensus. It was worry. Worry. Okay? That was the common, that was sort of the baseline, what they came back to. Like generally there's this buzz of worry sort of behind. Now, okay, there's students and they have things going on, but and the irony is when you get older and you look back at your student life, you think, oh gee, I wish I could be a student again. It was so great in my fantasies. So
that's kids?
What's that?
Kids?
No. Adults, college students. Okay. I didn't ask the children. I should do that, but I mean, my children won't give me a real answer. They'll just say something like, I'm angry at you because you're not giving me what I want. Right? I'm used to that. So worry was sort of the common college age 20-something experience. I was like, wow, you're supposed to save that for later. And then I was reading a bit about it, and I came across this radio program that is very popular right now in the United States. And it's called The United States of Anxiety. It's like they changed the names. Next, they'll change the flag. It'll be like somewhere, or just like hair being pulled. But it's not that like, people are going to jump off the cliff or anything. But it's just sort of like this atmosphere of dis-ease. I mean, the Buddha knew it well, but there's something happening currently that is making anxiety, not like, you know, low-level anxiety, you know, that becomes just the norm. There was there was this journalist who has a lot of Twitter followers, something like, I don't know, 50,000 or something, and she wrote that she suffers from chronic anxiety, or like anxiety disorder, I'm not sure what it's called. And she said now with her digital communication, she sends a text to a friend, and if she doesn't get a response, like in 5 minutes, she immediately starts thinking she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore. Or there's something wrong. And a lot of her followers corroborated. They agreed with her. They supported, said, yeah, of course. You know. That's like the norm. So we have this anxiety, and then we create conditions that exacerbate the experience, you know, and make it chronic. So it's not a given that one of the things in this article I was reading is that, you know, in the 1980s, the sort of the thing that people played with, there was a Rubiks Cube. You know that Rubiks Cube? The box of squares, 9 cubes, and you got with different colors, and you have to, you know, put it all together. Well, no, make it color coordinated, each side a single color. And there would be like these genius 12-year-olds who could do it in 30 seconds. And it was a sort of cognitive challenge, like a puzzle, 3D puzzle. That was, you know, if you had a child that needed extra activity, okay, do this. And then compare it with now, the spinner, okay? Like, compare the two. You know, one is a cognitive challenge that is going to, at some point, release energy so that, you know, you can, create greater focus. The person has to actually focus on it. And here it's just like, I'm out of control. You know, like I don't need to, I'm just spinning out of control. It's not doing anything. It's a, you know, these are metaphors for the mind.
But it's not the same. It's not, you can't compare it because the cube is still on. Like my child, they play with the cube and they play with the spinner. And the spinner is more like, you know, there are many things that it's like, it's going to take like, I don't know, a few months and it's going to be in the drawer and that's it. And they're changing a lot of kind of, you know, fashion toys like this.
Yeah.
But the cube is still on and it's developing. There is now 4x4 and there is like, you know, multi-shapes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe
Like it.
Maybe it's an iPad version.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, like anyone used to play. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I have to admit it. Okay, I admit it. All right. It's my teenage years. It's confession time. Okay. But they have these dice with different sides, like the 20-sided die. Like ever see a 20-sided dice? So I'm just whatever. Multi-side cube.
Yeah.
But the reason the comparison was being made was that one of the original intentions for this spinner was to you know, help people with attention problems, right? That was like an intention for it. But what they find is that it just, you know, helps people, you know, continue the attention problem because it's not really, you know, a focus. It's not really a focus. In the same way that our phones are not really a focus, but it's a constant, just an excuse to, you know, continue the same mental habits we have.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that was happening is that, you know, the idea of our inner lives having a certain constancy, right? Well, what is it that is increasing our levels of anxiety as a society versus, you know, why isn't depression? They found depression actually remains quite stable, which is nice to know. But anxiety was, you know, threefold in 5 years, the way it's being reported, like people reporting it. That's disturbing, you know, and we can look at technological, perhaps, conditions that are creating that. But as practitioners and as people who are trying to understand the inner life as much as looking for outer excuses, you know, we can see that, wait a second, it's not a given, right? My mental state and everyone's mental state is, it's not just, you know, it's not out of my control, right? And so I have to, meditation is very much about looking in and seeing the conditions that cause certain states of mind to arise, and then not contributing to that. There's this, I read this about this interview with some Native American, considered a sage, a wise woman, and she said that she was a very peaceful and a leader of her tribe, and someone asked her, what, how is it that how did you reach this level of, peace and wisdom? And she said, in my heart there are two wolves. It all depends which one I feed. And that is really, a very Buddhist comment. What are you gonna feed in your mind, right? In your mind. Anxiety is not a given. You may have a certain tendency towards it, but are you gonna feed that? It's true, some people are born, maybe have a genetic disposition to being alcoholics. But by recognizing that, you're not going to say, okay, well, I'm going to, on my walk home from work every day, pass by the bar district. Like that, it's just not wise. Okay, which wolf are you feeding? So we need to understand by looking inside what our mental tendencies and habits are, and say, okay, well, what am I going to feed now? What am I going to encourage and cultivate in my inner life? And so meditation is that awareness which helps us recognize what our mental habits and tendencies are. And only then we can start, either contributing or perhaps, avoiding and not feeding. But before you have that stillness to look inside, it's just a zoo, right? Like we're not really aware. Okay, so this is why it's important that when we sit, we're not in the place of saying, okay, well now I'm going to feed it or not feed it. We're just in the place of getting to know, right? To study the Buddha ways, to study the self. Meaning, you're really just looking inside and you're just seeing what is. What are the animals here? Okay? What is running around in this body and mind? What's happening when I sit? Then you can, work on yourself, or you can feed them, or know what to feed or not to feed. Okay? But during meditation, it's just that clear awareness. That clear awareness. We're not trying to change anything. We're just seeing what is. And then you can make a decision. So, before that wise woman knew what to feed, she saw, those two wolves. She was able to clearly see those two wolves. And the other interesting thing about her comment is that her spiritual life didn't mean that the one, kind of hungry, desiring, attached, and violent wolf is going to disappear, starve, and die. No. It's always there. Okay, it's always there. But do you encourage it? Do you feed it? One time the Dalai Lama was asked, do you ever get angry? And he said, yeah. I've said this before. And it was always such a surprise for me. But then he said, I just don't, continue with it after I see it. I just don't do anything about it. I don't feed it, basically, in this, in the native woman's speech, right? So, yeah, this type of awareness, okay, self-awareness, meaning, what's your mind like? Where is your mind? Or what's happening? What animal is, walking around in your mind space right now? Okay? The wolf we want to feed is kindness. Okay, kindness. Awareness allows you to see clearly those animals that are coming into your headspace, right? There are all sorts of animals. There's that nice still forest pool that Ajahn Chah used a metaphor with. You know, he said when you sit and you're just like sitting beside a forest pool and all sorts of, when you're quiet and still, the animals actually don't see you're there, and they all come. I have sometimes I sit by my porch and I put like some cornflakes on the floor of the porch, and then birds start coming. Right? I used to put seeds down, but they're very picky, these birds, and they like leave half of the seeds, but they love the cornflakes. They like finish them all. So I put the cornflakes, and then I keep still, and they come. But if I move, they all fly away. So that's kind of like at the still pool. You know, you're going to see all sorts of animals. Some are scary, and some will actually kill or try to kill. Some are violent predators, and some are peaceful. Some are unicorns. Some are strange animals you maybe never saw before, right? Some are figments of your imagination. Okay, Pegasus or whatever crazy, you know, dragons may come. And you know, in our meditation, our point is just to see them, okay? And then you'll know what to do afterwards, right? What comes, what can come, the animals that we want to encourage in our minds, okay, are the peace-loving animals. Are the ones that are caring and kind. This is where you know, one of the first times that the Buddha mentioned loving kindness was when he was trying to teach his son Rahula. Right? In one of the original sutras, the scriptures, he found that Rahula had a temper. Right? He actually got angry quite. He was one of his like teens who has a problem with his emotions. He got angry a lot, and also he was very vain. He cared a lot about his appearance because I guess he was really good looking. So, you know, he was good looking and angry young man. And and the Buddha then took him aside and said, he taught him the 4 Brahma Viharas, right? The 4 great qualities. And he said, loving kindness is going to help you with anger. He taught it as an antidote to anger, right? Which, when we contemplate that, it's so clear and so true. You know, loving kindness and metta. Metta is a strange word, actually. I mean, to translate it as loving kindness, I've always felt like, what a long loving kindness. Which is it? Love is a kindness. Loving kindness, a new breed, a new animal. What is it, right? Well, I can tell you what it's not. It's not falling in love. What is falling in love? The English term falling in love is great because, I mean, it's great as a contrast to metta. Because it's like something that just sort of happened to you. You're walking along and you fall into this pool of like pink water. You know, I mean, you didn't notice it and you just like fell into it, okay? Almost by mistake. It was like a mistake. And then you liked it. So you fell in love. And the opposite side, of course, is if you can fall in, you can fall out. You know, you just turn the pool upside down and you're out of it, okay? So it's a very unstable emotion. And any relationship based on that, you just got to get through it. You know, as soon as possible. I know it's all fun and games until you fall out. And then you're like, cold and wet. So, and that's it. Also, we say in English, being in love. I was so in love. Well, what is this? Like, love is something outside of you, and then you're in it. You enter in this room or this sort of sauna, like the jacuzzi of love. I was in love. And then I was out of love. So, okay, again, it's suggesting something outside of yourself that hopefully you'll meet one day. But metta is not like that. So metta, the Pali word, has two roots to it. It has one root that is related to the word gentle, and meaning like a gentle rain, a kind of a gentle rain. And a gentle rain is a nice metaphor because it's generally in hot countries. You know, the gentle rain is so pleasant. Not the hard monsoon, but like a gentle rain. And also, it's indiscriminate. That's the rain also. A rain covers everything equally, right? It's not just going to rain here and not there. It's like across the board, gentle rain. Okay. And the other root is friend. It's just simple friend. So combining those two, like a gentle rain friend, you know, you get a sort of a conceptual idea of what metta means. And think of what a gentle friend is who offers you some coolness, you know, when you're dry and hot, or, you know, just think of that type of relationship, which is different from, say, a lot of our other relationships, even, you know, romantic ones. A friend which doesn't really judge you, is on your side, doesn't expect something in return so much, and isn't, you know, carrying around a lot of baggage. Pretty rare. But it's more likely often, strangely enough, in friends than family. I mean, family has a different type of love, but there's a lot of complication, as we see. And sometimes friends is just that gentleness. So I think that's why the word gentle friend, you know, can offer you consolation, and just that sense of support. Why? Because you're a friend, you know? And that's the kindness and the love, which is, in a sense, unconditional. Like, you're not giving me that kindness, love, gentle rain, friendship, because right now because we're making a trade, we're trading something, we're exchanging. There's not an exchange going on, there's not an accounting going on. And if there is, then it's not gentle anymore, is it? Right? So the gentleness keeps that sense of, you know, here you go, right? So the Indian sage Nagarjuna, he said that 500 offering 500 bowls, okay, of food to monks does not compare to one moment of metta. Now that's interesting, because he was a monk, and, you know, he's coming from the monkhood, and maybe that's why he's really popular in Tibetan Buddhism, because, you know, the Mahayana is it makes a little shift. And we can be going through a lot of motions, like we're doing meditation and we're doing the right thing. But if there's not that metta in it, you know, if you're not doing it as an act of kindness, gentleness, and friendship, that gentle friendship, first and foremost, to whom? Well, to yourself. I mean, you're not sitting right now for anyone else. You're not here for anyone else, I hope, right? Maybe your parents sent you. Somebody's parents did. But you're really, you know, it's an act. If you can see meditation as first and foremost, not about enlightenment or anything, but just a sort of gentle act of kindness, of friendship to yourself. I mean, can you envision it? Can you consider it that way? Rather than, yeah, I've got the spiritual practice and I got to do it, otherwise I feel like I'm, you know, I don't know what, letting myself down, or losing the path, or not practicing, or losing my discipline, or I'm going to be disciplined. How about just like a little friendship, you know, kindness? Okay, I'm going to do myself a favor and sit. You know, as an act of kindness, consideration, love, right, gentleness. So Suzuki Roshi said that our zazen in Zen meditation has to be a warm zazen. It has to be a warm zazen. And then you say, okay, well, what is a warm zazen? What is warm meditation? Warm meditation is you're taking care of your breath in the same way that a mother cares for her child. You know, sometimes the child is cranky, sometimes the child is calm, sometimes the child is crying, sometimes the child needs this or that, and you're just attentive. You're like watching the child, you know, to pay attention to exactly what she or he needs, you know, in this moment, and it'll shift. And sometimes when you watch parents with little children especially, and little children, like, their moods change so fast that the parent has to be very attentive to what that need is. I mean, they can go from crying to laughing to crying literally in 10 seconds. I mean, it's almost the same breath. You can see it happening. And that takes a very attentive parent. Very attentive parent. And it's really quite remarkable. You can learn a lot just from observing that. You know, a lot of Dharma, of what it means to pay attention and to hold, not to force a change, okay, but just give it the space to be, and then it'll, you know, do what it needs to do. But when there's that sort of kind, gentle being with, right, that active love of, I'm going to be here with you, I'm going to accept your mood as it is, and I'm not going to define you by it. I'm not going to call you a crying child. Okay, you're crying now, and that's okay. In my mind, I know it's not who you are, right? Because you aren't anything. You just are this moment that is transforming as we speak. And you will see, it turns to laughter in a moment, okay, and turns back again. So the warm zazen is saying, I'm going to be with you as you are, right? I'm going to be with you as you are. That's a very gentle way, okay, and kind. Friendly, you know, friendly, parental. Dogen also talked about parental mind. So Dogen talked about 3 different minds that we have. We have a parental mind is like the base one that he said, okay, and that parental mind is that what Suzuki Roshi says, the warm zazen, the mother watching the child as a metaphor for you watching your breath. You know, you're not there, and watching the breath is also watching the mind, because, you know, when we're watching the breath, we're watching, the breath is the focus, but then the environment, your meditation environment, that includes everything, right? So the breath is like your, you know, your anchor, and then the waves of your meditation will make that boat of your consciousness rock back and forth. But you're anchored, so you can let those waves come, right? You can hold them, even the storms. Why? Because you're being friendly. You're being a friend to yourself. You're saying, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to define myself by those waves and by those thoughts. Okay? A friend doesn't judge you because you had a hard time. If it's a good friend, if it's a kind friend, you're not being judged. So you can admit the mistakes you made, and you can say, you know, I really screwed up, or, you know, I feel so bad about this. And she'll say, don't worry about it. You know, don't worry about it. It's okay, you did your best, it's fine. You know? Your mind will have all those screw-ups, and you need to be that friend. So that's what metta is for ourselves. It's sitting with that space, that warm zazen, that warm meditation, saying, I accept you as you are. Right? I accept you as you are. That's the kindness. Sometimes our zazen, our meditation, can seem kind of, you know, removed. Okay? And these teachers are reminding us it's actually really being with and a close engagement, a real close engagement to what's needed now. Okay? That attention will allow you to be flexible in your practice. Sometimes you need to sit, sometimes you need to walk, sometimes you need to cradle that baby, and sometimes you need to answer the phone. All of them coming from the same place of metta. Not necessarily the same place of awareness, okay, because you may be anxious and rushing, whatever, but your general intention, we can cultivate more and more. The wolf we're going to feed more and more in our hearts is metta, is kindness. You know, being a gentle rain friend not just to yourself, but to the world around us. So it's unconditional and indiscriminate. Yeah, unconditional means like I'm not being kind to you because I expect something back, and indiscriminate means it covers everyone. Right? This is where, like the Metta Sutra, that the Buddha, that you guys chant sometimes, right? The Metta Sutra is great because it expresses as clearly how broad, and wide it is. Let me read a couple verses. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world. It's a big vision. It's a very big vision. But the same themes come up again and again, as with, the warm zazen, a mother watching a child, you watching your breath. The Buddha talks about a mother and a child. It's a real common theme, because it pretty much is the most essential and basic relationship that we can imagine, the most unconditional one. So we take that as our model. You're not going to feel motherhood for the whole world of sentient beings, right? That's not the point. But the point is to say that we can take something. It's the direction. If you aim at the highest star, you may reach the top of the tree, right? But if you don't even aim for the top of the tree, you won't even get off the ground. So yeah, we're aiming high. Mother, child, whole world. Yeah, that's called enlightenment. But should you aim for less? I know I won't get there right now, but I have to try for something more than this. So that's also the metta, is the gentle rain, but it's also a challenge to us. It's a challenge, but a friendly one. It's saying love more. That's the challenge. Who doesn't want to take that challenge? Because we can immediately see the results. I know it's supposed to be unconditional, but I promise you'll get something out of it. Right? Let's just take a simple example of how metta works immediately. Well, why did he teach it against anger with his son Rahula? Well, try to imagine. Just think of today, this week, the experience of anger. Right? And it's usually triggered by someone. It's usually triggered by someone or by yourself. You can get angry at yourself or angry at someone. It's always like a cause-effect relationship. There's usually someone there, right? Now, we're angry at something they did, or the way they're acting, the way they're behaving, what I did, or whatever. Now, just as a thought experiment, take the reaction of anger and replace it with metta. Just take the same thing. And you may still be feeling anger. You may still have that tension. Look, this is not a magic trick. It's not saying that you feed that wolf of loving kindness or kindness, metta, and all of a sudden it's transformed the anger into motherly rain, gentle world. No. That's, you'll be disappointed. But can we accept that anger and feed kindness? Well, try it out. See what happens. If even just, and this is where the practice of metta is helpful, because what's important with understanding kindness and metta and loving kindness in a Buddhist perspective is that it is not an emotion. It's not an emotion. Because as I was saying, these emotions are fickle and unstable. Right? Depending on conditions, we're pulled this way and that. Right? In fact, they say that there are these sort of sympathetic neurons that like the strings of a sitar. There's like the many strings underneath the strings, and they pick up, they're called sympathetic strings, and they pick up the sound that the main strings bring. So if someone has an emotion, smiles at you, you smile back. It's not necessarily because you're like happy, it's just your sympathetic nerves are actually mirroring that emotion. But it happens with anger too, right? Now, let's say, like the Dalai Lama, we choose not to respond in kind, not to respond similarly. But we actually make a conscious choice to say, okay, you know what, this person's really pissing me off, this person's behaving terribly, she must be in pain. She's upset, she's suffering, right? That's serious dukkha, okay? I'm going to leave it there. And, it's enough that one person is suffering the anger, right? It really is enough that one person. And it's enough that I already got the anger too. It's contagious. But in my practice, I can actually then offer something else. I hope you will be relieved of that. I hope I will be relieved of that. We can just consciously articulate the wish for a difference. May you be happy and not angry. May I be happy and not angry. May we all be happy and not angry in this moment, okay? Just articulating that, even in a technical, in a mechanical way, not relying on any emotion, is going to make a difference. All of a sudden it's like, geez, now I see the reality of dukkha a bit. It's not, it's just bad. We're stuck in this dukkha, and there's a lot of anger and negativity going on. I wish it were to be relieved and may be replaced with kindness and love. May you not suffer anymore, and may I not suffer anymore. That wish, even just without any feeling behind it, will change your experience of the situation. No doubt. So even though I say metta is unconditional, you will see immediate results. Don't expect that you're wishing others to be free of suffering isn't necessarily going to end their suffering. But it will relieve some of yours. And that in itself is worth practicing. Okay? Hands down. There was this koan where one of the Zen teachers was asked about the practice of Avalokiteshvara, who is the bodhisattva of compassion in the Buddhist sort of pantheon. And it's a deity of compassion that is represented in images as this figure with 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes, so that it can see all the suffering, he or she, and she can also reach out to all the different people who are suffering. So there's the seeing and then there's the helping, and they are identical. You can't just see and not help. What is that? So the teacher, the master, was asked, okay, what is the practice of Avalokiteshvara? Like, how does the God of compassion, how does the Buddha of compassion actually work? Okay. And his response was, it's like reaching back in the middle of the night and adjusting your pillow. That was the response. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night. I don't know, I do. And the pillow's like beside me, so I gotta move the pillow. That's what he said it was like. Huh? That's crazy. What are all those arms and eyes for? Well, here's something I think important in that answer. One of the things I understand from it is that sometimes we set ourselves up for failure, meaning we have these ideas of metta, of kindness, of love and compassion that are moving mountains, that are going to make huge differences, that are going to transform my relationship between myself and others and my own sense of being and myself. And the teacher was just saying, sometimes it's just such a small little gesture of consideration and kindness, Like, oh, my head's not under the pillow, put it under the pillow, right? It's just the shift of the pillow. Sometimes it can be soft and gentle, just like that. Sometimes it'll be mighty and huge, okay? But don't forget, usually the opportunities we have during the day are countless small ones. If you're only waiting for the big difference, it may not come. But the many small ones are here already. And it might just be noticing with one of your 1,000 eyes. This moment needs just, filling a glass with water. That's all it needs, right? And giving it to somebody who's thirsty. Or, washing a dish that was left. Or a little smile, right? Maybe to myself. So that is just shifting the pillow in the middle of the night. As there's the quote that I've for years been giving from Mother Teresa: there are no great acts of love, there are only small acts done with great love. So that's, the pillow. It's the same kind of idea behind there of the pillow being shifted. One other two other short images I'd like to share with you. And they both come from Zen. One of them is a story that I've probably told before, but that's okay, because I need reminding. One of them is a story about a monk who was living in a hut at the top of a village that was being supported by one of the wealthy patron, an old woman who lived in the village who owned a lot of rice fields. And she had been paying for this monk and his hut and his food for like 20 years. And he was up there doing his really good meditation. He seemed really peaceful and totally detached. Great. And she said, well, you know what? I wonder about him. So she decided to test him. So she found a very attractive young woman. And it says in the koan, who was very desirous. I love that little addition. Okay. And she sent him out and she said, go embrace him. Go embrace the monk. And after you embrace him, ask him, okay, what's next? So, really. So the young woman goes up, wearing her Japanese kimono bikini, and she sits in the lap of course, the meditating monk and embraces him and says, what's next? And he just didn't even look at her, and he said, it's like a cold tree growing on a winter rock. That was his response. It's like a cold tree growing on a rock in winter, right? Nothing's there. Nothing's there. Seems holy and noble, right? She went back down and she reported the whole exchange to the old woman who was supporting him. And she became livid. She was furious. She said, for 20 years I've been supporting this idiot, and he didn't know how to even, respond to your need or say something nice. She said both things. She said to either, respond to your need or, give a teaching that was kind or to say something nice, right? So she went up and she burned down his hut. That's how the story ends. She burned his hut down. It's an interesting story because it breaks down some of our ideas of what the holy life is and the practice is. It wasn't suggesting that he should have broken some vows of his perhaps that he had and had some physical intimacy with that young woman. No, that wasn't what they were saying or suggesting, right? But couldn't he have been nice? I mean, where was the kindness? Why didn't he see her and see her need and also see her suffering? Where was her? Where was she in the story? He was just lost in his own, zoo of trying to starve one animal, but not feeding the other one. It's not enough just to starve the anger, right? You have to feed the kindness. And that all that time that she was supporting him, he wasn't actually feeding the kindness. And that's what made her enraged. So the last little, this is suggesting that, the kindness also is that being with, that friendship, where I'm going to see you as you are, accept you as you are, and listen to your specific needs. Not my needs, not someone else's needs, but I will gently listen to you and be here for you where you're at, and try to help you out of your difficulty. Which means support doesn't mean I'm just going to agree with everything you say, right? Because I want to help you. So that's the friendliness. Now to the koan that represents the rain, the vastness of it, is Joshu, Master Joshu. And with this I'd like to finish. The famous Master Joshu, people would come from all over to his monastery to learn from him. And someone will come in and he would ask them, where are you from? And they'd say, I'm from whatever, the Nara region. And he'd say, good. Here, have some tea. And then someone else would come, have you been here before? No, I haven't. Oh, have some tea. And his assistant came in one day and said, look, Master, anytime someone comes in here, you ask them a question, then you say, have some tea. Why? I said, assistant, yes, have some tea. And sometimes we're not here to explain, we're just here to give, right? And you're giving, to just anyone who's around. You're just giving, that's all. It's just about giving, right? And that's the rain. It's gentle. That's why it's tea and not I don't know what. But and it's skillful and it's kind and it's friendly. And it also doesn't matter what else you're feeling inside, because all those feelings are just your stuff. Okay? But the world is a lot bigger than you, which meditation helps us remember. So I wish us all to be truly happy and free of suffering, and to be able to constantly give that to others, and to aim high in your practice, and you'll go far. So before we finish with 1 minute to be silent, there's something that someone would like to say.
This is irrelevant, but if anybody needs a ride to give a time region, then I have room in the car.
That's nice. Irrelevant.
That's tea.
Yeah.
How often do you come to this group for the teaching?
How often? Not often enough. I'd like to, for me, I'd like to sit more with you guys. About maybe every 2 weeks, is that? Every 2 weeks, maybe? What do you think? Does that sound right?
Often enough also from us.
Yeah. So maybe it's every 2 weeks, I think. I'm not.
Or every week, if you can.
Well, actually, as of next week, when the college is finished and everything, then yeah, I can come. But I'm going to Canada for a couple weeks, so I'll have to wait till I get back from there. Yeah. Yeah. So if you see the Facebook page that Rowie updates almost on a daily basis, I think. But yeah, there's and I don't know if you have do you send messages also or something?
WhatsApp.
Yeah, this is WhatsApp. Yeah.
Daniel, I was thinking maybe we can finish before the sitting with to chant together the medicine chant.
That sounds good. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you have copies?
It's in the book, I think. It's
Oh, all right.
page 38, 36. And there are some more copies in the kitchen of the book if someone.
142.
Anybody needs
You chant it a certain way, yeah? Dance
So I
chant.
think Dan will lead us.
Now let us chant the verses sorry. The Buddha's words on loving kindness.
This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that their wives would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. It's a good way to end. So it's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to sitting with you again.